Listen up. Your shoulders need these exercises to be bigger and stronger. Let's face it, you're probably doing a ton of exercises and still wondering why your shoulders aren't popping. Here's the truth. Most people are wasting their time on the wrong moves. Building bigger, broader shoulders isn't about doing endless overhead presses or hoping for the best. Nope. It's about targeting the right muscles in the right way. If you want that powerful V-shape, you need to focus on your lateral delts, the part that actually creates that wide, imposing look. Don't worry, I've got the exact strategies to make it happen. Ready for a shoulder transformation? Let's jump into the real workout secrets. Number 5, the perfect move. Let's talk about the lateral raise, or as I like to call it, the shoulder movement that everyone butchered but nobody admits. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're probably doing it wrong. And guess what? Most of you don't even realize it. You've been mindlessly swinging those dumbbells around like you're trying to flap your wings. But guess what? That's not how you get those massive deltoids you're craving. Form is everything. If you want shoulders that make people stop and stare, you have to do the lateral raise right. And no, that doesn't mean just lifting your arms to the side and calling it a day. You've got to hit the scapular plane, which is basically a slight angle to your body, not just straight out to the side. This small change makes a world of difference. It maximizes the muscle tension, gives you better contraction, and makes sure your deltoids are working overtime. But wait, there's more. Want to take your lateral raise to the next level? Lean your torso slightly forward as you raise those arms. That's right. Lean forward just enough so the trapezius, those big muscles around your neck, doesn't hijack the movement. We want the delts working, not your traps trying to steal the show. I know what you're thinking. That's all well and good, but I'm just trying to get the movement right. Why should I focus so much on the small stuff? The answer is simple. The small stuff is what separates the amateurs from the pros. That small lean forward and slight angle completely change the way your shoulders respond to the exercise. Here's another pro tip. Don't just rush through the movement. Control it. Too many people race through lateral raises like they're in a sprint. Big mistake. Slow it down. Really focus on that peak contraction at the top and hold it for a second before lowering the weight. The key to growth is keeping that tension on the muscle for as long as possible. Don't just drop it and get it over with. Treat your deltoids like they're royalty, because trust me, they'll reward you. Start light. No! Seriously, drop the ego at the door. Use a weight that challenges you but allows you to maintain proper form. And don't just go for the heaviest weight you can lift. You're here to build muscle, not ego. With proper form, even lighter weights will target your delts effectively. You know what they say, quality over quantity. Want to really hit your delts from all angles? Switch it up. Instead of just doing the same old raise every time, rotate your wrists as you lift. It's a subtle change, but that slight twist activates different parts of the muscle. Number 4, dumbbells or cables. Which one to choose for the best results? Let's settle this once and for all. Dumbbells or cables for shoulder exercises. It's a question that's been asked 1,000 times, and every gym rat has their opinion. But let's face it, nobody really knows for sure. Some people swear by dumbbells, saying nothing beats the feel of a solid, free weight. Others will tell you that cables are the secret weapon you've been missing out on. The truth? It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about using both for the ultimate shoulder gains. Dumbbells first, the tried and true classic. Everyone loves a good dumbbell lateral raise. It's simple, it's effective, and it really works, but not without its flaws. Here's the deal. Dumbbells give you the most resistance at the top of the movement, which is where you really want it. When your arms are parallel to the floor, that's when your deltoids are under the most tension, and that's exactly when you need to be pushing hard. But here's the catch. When your arms are hanging down, right at the bottom of the move, there's barely any tension on your shoulders. It's just gravity doing its thing. So yeah, while dumbbells are fantastic for working the top of the range, they kind of leave you hanging, pun intended, when it comes to that initial phase. And let's not forget about the imbalances that can creep up with dumbbells. If one shoulder is stronger than the other, it'll start doing all the work, and you'll end up with some funky asymmetry. Now, enter cables. You know, the fancy machines that look intimidating, but they're actually worth their weight in gold. The real benefit of cables is that they give you constant tension throughout the whole range of motion. From start to finish, your deltoids are engaged, meaning you're always under tension, never getting a break. You don't have that dead zone at the bottom like with dumbbells. This is huge. Cables force you to work the muscle the entire time, which means you're getting better results overall. They don't just let you coast through the easy parts of the exercise. They keep you in the pain zone, forcing those delts to burn the whole time. And if you're worried about imbalances, cables are a savior because you can train each shoulder individually, ensuring that both sides get the same work. No more lopsided deltoids. The extra bonus? Cables allow you to adjust angles, which can target your delts in different ways. You can hit the front, the middle, or even the back of the shoulder with more precision. Here's the hard truth. You need both. Dumbbells are great for that initial power, that heavy lifting. But cables provide that non-stop burn that really pushes your shoulders to their limit. If you're serious about building a well-rounded full shoulder, then you can't just choose one. You need both in your arsenal. The combination of both will hit your delts from every angle, ensuring that no muscle fiber is left untouched. If you're looking for a simple solution, here it is. Start with dumbbells to work on building strength at the top of the movement. Then move to cables to finish off with that constant tension and fuller contraction. Do a few sets with dumbbells to get the weight up. Then switch over to cables to fry those shoulders with consistent resistance. This drop set style will leave your delts feeling like they've been through the ringer, and the results will speak for themselves. You don't need to pick favorites, just use both and watch your shoulders grow. You're enjoying the video? Leave your comment, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button. Number 3, the progression. If you think shoulder training is all about lifting heavy weights and pushing yourself to failure every single set, you've been doing it wrong. Let me drop a truth bomb on you. Progression isn't just about slapping more weight on the bar or doing the same thing week after week. If you want shoulders that actually grow, you need to understand the subtle, often overlooked art of progression. Here's the thing. Shoulder exercises like the lateral raise are not like bench press or squats. You can't just stack weight on the bar and expect to keep progressing smoothly. The shoulder joint is delicate. It's smaller and more fragile than other major joints in your body. So pushing it too hard too fast can lead to injuries, imbalances, and frustration. But that doesn't mean you can't progress like a champ. You just need to be smart about it. Before you start looking at me like I'm crazy, let me clarify. I'm not saying you shouldn't challenge yourself with heavier weights. But with movements like the lateral raise, there's a key issue. Adding too much weight too quickly often results in poor form. And I know you don't want to be the guy swinging the weights like a maniac, right? It's all about smart progression that makes sure you're maintaining form while still pushing your muscles to grow. The first thing you need to focus on when progressing is repetition range. If you're already doing sets of 8 to 10 reps with a given weight, then it's time to up the ante. But not by just tossing 10 more pounds on the dumbbells. No, that's a rookie mistake. Instead, focus on hitting the higher end of your rep range first. So, if you're currently at 10 reps, aim for 15. Focus on maintaining perfect form. Don't let the temptation of lifting heavier weights mess up your technique. This is where you'll start seeing real muscle building progress. Once you can consistently hit 15 reps with complete control, then and only then should you consider increasing the weight. But why not just up the weight now? I feel like I can handle more. Sure, you might feel like you can, but guess what? Lifting heavier doesn't guarantee muscle growth. It just guarantees that your form will go to hell faster than your workout playlist. With dumbbells, the resistance is greatest when your arms are parallel to the floor. So if you go too heavy, you'll end up using momentum and your traps will end up doing most of the work rather than your delts. And we both know that's not what you want. Let's get practical. Use a rep range of 12 to 20 for your lateral raises. Start with a weight that you can control for 12 reps, and as you approach those 15 to 20 reps, gradually increase the load. That's the sweet spot for muscle growth, building up endurance before strength. You probably heard the saying, start light, go heavy, but no one tells you exactly how to start light and why it works. Well, I'm telling you now. Start light to master the movement, then gradually move into the heavy stuff. If you're working with cables, the same principle applies. You'll often notice that the weight stacks on cable machines can be really deceptive. The light weight on cables can feel like you're pushing nothing, while the heavier weights feel nearly impossible to pull. So, start with the smallest increment that gives you a solid burn, and aim for a rep range between 15 to 20 reps. Let's talk about another trick I use to ensure steady progress without hurting myself. Using smaller weight increments. If you're training with dumbbells and the next weight jump is, let's say, 5 pounds, that might be too much. You can't go from 15-pound dumbbells to 20-pound dumbbells and expect your shoulders to handle it gracefully. A great trick is to use microloading. What does that mean? It means adding small weights, like 1 or 2 pound increments, to your dumbbells. It's a subtle difference, but your shoulders don't feel the shock of an unnecessary increase, and your muscles are still forced to grow. Number 2, don't neglect the rear shoulders. Everyone wants that wide, sculpted look for their shoulders, and it's always the deltoid middle that gets the attention. You know, the side delts that make your shoulders pop when you wear a tight shirt. But if you're focusing solely on the deltoid middle, you're making a huge mistake. And guess what? This is exactly why your shoulders may be lagging behind. So, here's the harsh truth. If you're ignoring the rear delts, you're doing it wrong. I know, you probably don't want to hear it. You're in the gym hitting those lateral raises, front raises, and military presses, thinking you're crushing it. But trust me, if you're neglecting the rear shoulders, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment, both in the mirror and when it comes to performance. You need to be hitting all 3 parts of the deltoid, not just the part that gives you the cannonball shoulders look. And don't fool yourself just because you're doing front and side raises doesn't mean you're getting full shoulder development. The rear deltoids are essential for balance. These muscles are responsible for the posterior part of your shoulder, and they provide stability for all your pressing movements, like bench press and overhead presses. But here's the kicker. You can't just rely on compound exercises like rows to work your rear delts. It's like doing squats and thinking your quads are getting all the love while your glutes and hamstrings are being left behind. If you really want to develop your rear delts, you have to specifically target them with isolation exercises. Why should you care about training the rear delts? Besides giving you that well-rounded 3D look that's going to make people stop and stare, there's a functional benefit to having strong posterior shoulders. These muscles help counterbalance the work of your front delts, those guys that always get all the attention, and they play a huge role in keeping your posture in check. Neglect them and you'll notice rounded shoulders, slumped posture, and potentially even neck or back pain. Not a good look, and definitely not the body you're aiming for. So, let's get down to business. How do we fix this issue and actually start training those rear delts properly? First things first, get rid of the myth that rows are enough. Sure, rows do activate the rear delts, but they're more of a compound movement that works multiple muscles at once, meaning they don't isolate the rear delts as efficiently as they need to be. If you really want to make those rear delts pop, you need to use exercises that specifically target them, like reverse flies and face pulls. These moves will allow you to concentrate fully on the rear deltoids and make sure that they're doing all the work. Let's talk about reverse flies first. You've probably seen them in the gym and thought, meh, another shoulder exercise. But when done properly, the reverse fly is a game changer. You can do them with dumbbells, cables, or a machine, but no matter the variation, the goal is to open your chest while keeping your arms slightly bent, and bring your arms back as far as you can fully engage those rear delts. This move mimics the natural range of motion of your shoulder, which is why it's so effective. If you're not feeling that sweet burn in the back of your shoulders, you're probably not performing the movement correctly. Make sure to keep your shoulder blades retracted. Don't let them move forward. This ensures maximum engagement of the rear delts, rather than letting your traps and rhomboids take over. Next up, face pulls. If reverse flies are the bread and butter, face pulls are the secret sauce. Face pulls are exceptionally effective for activating your rear delts and improving shoulder stability. If you haven't been using them, you're missing out. Start with a cable machine, attach a rope, set the weight to something moderate, don't go too heavy here, form is key, and pull the rope towards your face, keeping your elbows high. Squeeze your shoulder blades together at the peak of the movement. Number 1, the best way to structure your shoulder workout. Here we go, the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to talk about the most effective way to structure your shoulder training routine. I know some of you out there are guilty of wandering into the gym, throwing in a couple of lateral raises, and calling it a day. But if you want to see real, noticeable gains, you need a strategy. No more random exercises. No more skipping recovery days. And definitely no more half-hearted attempts at hitting those deltoids. Let's get this straight. Shoulder training is about frequency, volume, and balance. Period. And if you're not training your shoulders with enough volume or at the right frequency, you're wasting your time. But don't worry. I'm here to break down exactly how you should structure your workouts to get the best results. First things first, you need to train your shoulders 2 to 3 times a week. This frequency is crucial. Why? Because the shoulders, despite being smaller muscles, recover pretty quickly. They aren't like your quads or glutes that need days of recovery after heavy leg days. You can and should hit those delts more often. But listen, this doesn't mean you should be smashing them into the ground every single day, like some misguided soul who thinks overtraining is the key to success. You need to give your muscles enough time to recover, but also hit them frequently enough to stimulate growth. Here's how you can structure your weekly shoulder routine. Session 1. Focus on strength and power. This workout should be centered around compound movements. You're going to lift heavy and hit your delts with a military press, push press, or Arnold press. These movements target your front and middle delts, while also engaging your triceps and upper chest. The goal here is to lift moderate to heavy weight, with lower reps around 5 to 8%. This will help you build overall strength, giving you the foundation to add more weight and volume in future sessions. Session 2. Focus on volume and isolation. Here's where you get to go a little wild. It's time to hit those lateral raises and reverse flies with higher reps, think 10 to 20% and moderate weight. You can still use heavier weight, but the focus should be on time under tension and getting a good squeeze at the top of each rep. This workout should target all parts of the deltoid, focusing on isolating the middle and rear heads. Don't skip the rear delts. A lot of people make the mistake of neglecting them and only focusing on their front and middle delts. This leads to a very unbalanced and unfinished look. Rear delts are just as important, and we'll get into that in a bit. Session 3. Focus on recovery and mobility. Okay, this doesn't mean you get to skip this day and binge watch Netflix. This is the day you take it a little easier on the intensity. Focus on lightweight exercises, mobility work, and stretching. Use bands to work through controlled shoulder movements to increase your range of motion, and throw in some more face pulls and reverse flies, but at lighter intensities. This helps with shoulder health and ensures you're improving your flexibility while also promoting recovery from the heavier sessions. The key here is balance. You don't want to hit your delts with the same intensity every single time. By alternating between heavy, moderate, and light sessions, you allow your muscles to recover adequately, while also giving them enough stimulus to grow. Let's talk about volume. If you want to build massive shoulders, volume is your friend. Volume isn't just about throwing a bunch of exercises into your routine and calling it a workout. It's about strategically increasing the total number of sets and reps you do for each muscle group. For delts, I recommend a minimum of 12 to 15 sets per workout, but that can vary depending on your goals. Just don't skimp on this. 3 to 5 sets per exercise should be your goal. And don't forget, quality over quantity is the key. Don't just go through the motions. Focus on the mind-muscle connection and make every rep count. You like the video? Leave your comment. Hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.